Welcome to Football Conspiracies.
I'm Jared Cole.
And I'm Jared Rabinovich.
This week's episode, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their beliefs. All right, before we start this episode, I have something I wanted to add. Just a little thing for our listeners, in case they were keeping track. We're keeping track for you, so you don't have to worry. Madden Curse 2025.
Oh, there's been an update.
Well, I mean, Christian McCaffrey was announced before this season, and he has yet to step on the field, and it was just announced that he has Achilles tendonitis in both of his legs.
In both of his legs.
Yeah, so what was supposed to be just over a month on the IR looks like it's going to be a question mark now.
That's going to be a season full of, he's not back till next year.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the recovery or anything like this is, but it definitely does not look good, seeing as though we've already played 4 weeks of football and he has yet to step on the field.
I'm pretty comfortable already calling this is Madden Curse.
This is
it's
Madden.
Happened.
There you go. So I would like to add that the Madden Curse strikes again, and the likelihood of you being affected by the Madden Curse just keeps going up.
All right. I appreciate you bringing that up. I always like to know when one of our episodes is still prescient in real time.
Well, I mean, I feel like as this podcast goes on and more Madden covers are announced, I think we will be keeping track on a random episode. We might give you an update on the Madden Curse.
Oh, absolutely. And the next time a Chunky Soup sponsorship comes around, we're going to be covering that player.
Yeah.
So getting into the bulk of this week's episode, coming back at you guys with a little bit of a shorter episode, and we're going to be covering something a little bit less conventional than we usually would. The premise of this episode is that we'll be breaking down a video posted on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers socials on August 26th of this year, 2024. The video shows Buccaneers players' answers to the question, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? This is our breeding ground. This is the most perfect thing I've ever seen for us.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on social media and I sent it to Jared immediately.
Yeah, the moment you sent me this, I was like, well, that's an episode. Done. Perfect. So before we get into the answers themselves, we are going to play the video for you guys.
You gotta watch out for people who think that the earth is flat.
The earth is flat. I 100% believe in the Loch Ness Monster.
Definitely Bigfoot. It's got to be up there. I can't say what I really want to say, or else I might not be here in a couple of days. Oh, that's me. But just know I know. I believe there's another version of me that made all the opposite decisions that I made in life.
So you ever thought about it? Birds are not real. Aliens are real.
Shut up.
We did not land on the moon. Flat earther.
All right, so the birds is real, but you know what I mean? Can't tell you exactly what they're
Look,
doing.
this is a real
The
conspiracy.
government is on our ass.
This is a real conspiracy. Joe is not a real human being. He was made in a lab.
We're now going to dive into a bit of a statistical analysis I've put together regarding the answers that these players have given. I know this sounds pretty overwrought, but this is my bread and butter here. So first things first, we're just going to go through the answers one by one, marking them out, and telling you the player that is associated with them if we were able to identify that person. A few of the players were cut, so we weren't exactly able to figure out every single player.
Yeah, I tried, but unfortunately my brain doesn't know what every single player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their injury reserves, their practice squad, and those they cut were, so...
Exactly.
I did what I could, I'm sorry.
And we did pretty well, but there are a few players' names who we don't have, and we apologize for that. So the first answer we start with is coming from Godwin, who says, Earth is not flat. Easy, love it, perfect statement. This is followed immediately by Vita saying, the Earth is flat. Obviously. You gotta hit us with the 1-2 punch right at the beginning of the video.
Yeah, of course.
The next would be Mike Evans saying that he believes in the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a conspiracy.
Oh, it's absolutely a conspiracy.
I believe in that one too, Mike Evans, so...
It's very As far as these cryptids conspiracy theories go, meaning, believing in
Like
Loch Ness
Bigfoot.
Monster, Bigfoot, exactly,
Okay,
the
yeah,
abominable
I guess
snowman, that sort of thing.
It's still
they're pretty
considered a
lighthearted.
conspiracy.
Yeah, just because
Okay.
they're lighthearted and they're not like, super political or super anti-scientific like some of these other ones, they're definitely still conspiracies, even if I would consider them in kind of the lighthearted dinosaurs are fake category of theory.
Yeah.
The fourth answer we got, actually on this track, is Bigfoot. This, unfortunately, came from an unknown player. Another person who got cut said, can't say, and then, quote-unquote, just know I know. The sixth person answered, all of them. This was Golston. Dean answered, and this is a quote, another version of me that made all the opposite decisions of what I did in life. Based answer. By far my favorite.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like
awesome.
alternate timeline type shit.
I also don't know if you got the same vibe that I did from the video. This man looks excited. Like the rest of them are, giving their answers. It's their job. It's a social media thing. They look happy. They're having a good time. But he looks excited to be sharing this with the world.
Yeah, well, it's an exciting theory.
I'll give you that. The eighth answer comes from Tryon Shoyinka, who said birds are not real. This was quickly followed by laughing, and then also in a later cut, he said birds are real, but I can't tell you exactly what they're doing. This one seems very jokey to me.
Yeah.
Especially considering him and the teammate he appears with are definitely, laughing and having a good time throughout this video.
Yeah.
The ninth answer also comes from an unknown player who says aliens are real. Debatably conspiracy, debatably not. We'll get a bit into that later. The 10th answer comes from another player that was cut, where he said none of them. Big respect from him. That's sort of my man over there. The 11th answer comes from Hayes, who said that the moon landing was faked. Very classic conspiracy, obviously. The 12th player, who was also unknown, joined Vida in saying that the Earth is flat. So we have at least 2 flat earthers in the Bucks locker room that we know of.
And one confirmed not flat earth.
Exactly. We do know Godwin is on the side of science, whereas Vida and Unknown are on the side of God. And the last answer we got came from Ramirez, and he said, quote unquote, Joe is not a real human being. He was made in a lab. Obviously a joke. Joe is another player on the Bucks, someone who he's standing next to in the video for context of those who didn't get the visual.
Well, I mean, he was created in a lab. That one I believe too.
That you think he's a test tube baby?
Yeah, no. He's not a test tube baby. Like, he was like a genetically modified.
Like Frankenstein's monster on a pallet,
No.
shocked with electricity, come to life sort of situation? Or cyborg sort of situation?
No, like some like Superman type shit, I guess.
Oh, okay, I see. We're talking like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Alright, so to get into the statistical analysis of this sample represents 13 of the Bucks' 53-man roster. That is 24.5% of the team. Out of these 13 players, 2 gave answers in the negative. They said they did not believe in any conspiracy or denied another one. So that comes from the answers Earth is not flat and the answer none of them. 4 of these players gave answers that I was either not sure about or was what I consider to be a joke. These are can't say, all of them, birds are not real, and Joe is made in a lab. In terms of birds are not real and Joe is made in a lab, these are very clearly jokes to me. The other 2 seem jokey to me, but it is also something that conspiracy theorists might say when they're trying to deflect from this question. Like, there are some people who might say can't say as like a joke, but also some people who might say can't say as an, oh no, I'm not going to say anything. Even if they play it off as a joke, they might be serious. The same thing goes for people saying all of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you also got the bird thing. You count it as a joke because people do actually believe that birds aren't real, but he like made a joke about it and then said that he believes birds are real.
Exactly.
And he just doesn't know what they're doing.
Yes, exactly. like for that one, it really looks like a joke to me. There's no seriousness between the 2 of the players who are featured in that particular clip. So I have no reason to think that this guy doesn't believe birds are real. That's also, is something that some people believe in. When you dig into it a little more, you can see that the origins of the birds being fake conspiracy theory are actually rooted in a joke that university students were making. So this is a joke conspiracy in itself, and that is why, for those of you who might be wondering, it is often the conspiracy that people immediately jump to when they are making fun of conspiracies. Because not that many people actually believe this. There's no like real fleshed out conspiracy behind this. It's really just, it's based in a joke.
Yeah, it is a joke conspiracy.
Exactly. The remaining 7 of these guys gave answers that I considered to be sincere, where they admitted a conspiracy that they do believe in. We'll go through each of these and discuss if you believe my interpretation of these answers are correct, because I'm fully willing to accept that some of these might be jokes and I was taking some of these a little too seriously. But let's discuss these now. The first two are the cryptid conspiracies that we mentioned a little bit earlier, being the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. I don't think these were jokes. I think these guys do believe in that. And like I said earlier, well, I definitely don't think these are substantiated theories. I don't think they are crazy to believe in, especially considering the logic follows from somewhere like there is so much in this world that is unknown. Why would it be so crazy that there are these creatures that we don't know about?
Yeah, it's like we're finding species all the time. Why couldn't there just be like smart species who are hiding from us?
Exactly. I completely accept that logic, and they're right. There are almost certainly species that we have not discovered yet.
Yeah.
Are they Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster? Almost
Maybe.
certainly not.
Yeah, you never know.
But you never know.
They could be. I'm on the firm believer that, yes, they're out there.
I'm a firm believer that they are not. But in terms of this, I think we can agree that these two players were positively espousing something that they believe in, like a conspiratorial belief that they believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next answer is aliens are real. I have a little bit of a hard time including this in this category of positive answers, but I'm going to for the purposes of when someone asks if they believe in a conspiracy theory and they say aliens are real, I assume they believe in a little bit more than the average person. If you were to ask me or you, do you believe in aliens? The answer is almost certainly, yeah, they're somewhere out there.
Well, yeah, I think that's more the difference. Like, we're like, yeah, probably there's aliens. He's like, yes, there's definitely aliens.
Exactly. It puts into question for me whether he thinks that what aliens are real means to him is, was there human contact with aliens? Have aliens come to Earth? It feels like he might have some sort of theory on that track, as opposed to me or you, who when asked that question go, yeah, I mean, like, statistically speaking, in the entire universe, I'm sure aliens probably exist.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's the way he's going, and I would not consider that to be a conspiracy theory. What I consider, and for the purpose of this episode will continue to consider his theory to be, is that there's some sort of contact between humans and aliens, or aliens have visited Earth in some capacity.
Yeah, there's something more to just aliens are out there to this guy.
Exactly. There's actual proof instead of just speculation. The next one is that the moon landing was faked. Classic kingpin of conspiracies. We all know this one, and I definitely don't think there's any reason to believe this guy was not telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, Stanley Kubrick did an amazing job.
Can't deny that.
Nothing else you can say.
Yeah, I can't even tell the difference. It's almost like it was in space.
It's almost like I heard they actually shot on location.
They shot on the moon. That's a good one. One player said, and I know we went into this a little bit because it was just so ridiculous, the quote that there's another version of himself in another universe making the opposite decisions of everything he makes. Beautiful.
Great.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, that's an amazing one. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like out there. The multi-timeline theory.
We are gonna break this one down a little bit further because it really piqued my interest because it's just so absurd.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's literal multiverse shit.
It's literal multiverse shit, but for babies, for 2-year-olds, and we'll get into that in later, like I said. But for now, just beautiful quote. I really appreciate Dean for bringing this out of the woodworks for me.
Yes, thank you, Jamel Dean.
And truly the only unique man in this entire conversation here.
Yeah, you got your cryptids and you got your flat Earth.
Exactly.
And then you got your parallel timelines.
Very different. Exactly. And on the flat earthers, the last two of these 7 answers that we got were 2 players saying they believe in flat earth, which if you listen to our previous episode 4, about flat earth, this might be unsurprising. But once again, we will get a little bit more into detail with this in a short bit. So here are my findings that I'm going to present to you guys based on these results that we just discussed. The first thing I want to talk about in this section is regarding the biases people faced when asked any question, particularly in a survey-like environment. In any properly conducted survey, a great deal of time is dedicated towards the phrasing of the questions, the order of the questions, and the environment the survey is being conducted in, and much, much more than that, really. All this may seem trivial, but researchers have proven exactly how easy it is to influence the results of a survey by adjusting these factors, even just a little. Obviously, this video is not and does not claim to be a proper survey, but that does not mean that the same response biases do not affect the answers of the players in this video. The first type of response bias I'd like to discuss is the social desirability bias. This is when respondents provide answers that they believe would be the most favored by those around them, most favored in society. This can work in different ways for different people, though. Those who do believe in conspiracy theories may be embarrassed to admit this in front of another teammate or the team's social media manager, so they may lie to cover this up when the camera's in their face. Alternatively, some players may ham up their answers for the opposite reason. They believe their fellow teammates and the social media manager would find that answer far more desirable. This bias is further compounded by the fact that this is being filmed and posted to social media. It seems likely some players adjusted their answers based on this fact. After all, it is one thing to know what is socially desirable among your teammates, but it's a whole other thing to know the same thing about your entire fan base. The second type of bias I'd like to discuss is demand bias. This is similar to social desirability, except that the respondent is adjusting their answers not based on what is most socially desirable, but what they believe the researcher would find the most desirable. In this case, the quote-unquote researcher is someone on the Bucs social media team. I find it probable that in some cases, players gave more exciting answers because they believed this would be a better response for the purposes of the researcher, who for, in this case, success is measured by how much attention the video garners. The reason I bring up these biases is because I want to make it clear how inaccurate the information gathered in this video likely is. But I do think it's interesting that, in the face of all the extenuating circumstances we just discussed, more than half of the players featured in the video still admitted to conspiracy theories they subscribe to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, make perfect sense.
Yeah, I just think it's important, especially when we have these super ad-libbed videos, that we discuss the effects that players might be dealing with this, you know? Like, there's clearly players in there, like the guys who said birds are real, who are trying to ham up their answer because I think that was demand bias. They wanted to give the social media person the best answer possible, so they gave what they thought would be funny. They gave what they thought the fans would want to see, as opposed to giving an actual answer.
Yeah,
that player, we have no idea if they believe in a conspiracy or not. I do really wonder how differently this survey results would play out if, this was anonymized. They were giving their full, truthful answers. I think the answers might be a lot more illuminating, and I think maybe a lot scarier than we all want to think.
Yeah, but I don't think it would have made as fun of a video.
Certainly would not have. Actually, it might have been. If we got all these guys' crazy beliefs, I think there might have been a few gems in there. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, we could make something good out of it. I don't know if the Buck social media account could garnish the attention that they would want, other than...
If they had 15 players in a row all going flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, that is a video I'd want to watch.
Yeah, you'd want to watch.
Would they want to release it? Yeah, that's a different question.
Yeah.
No, you make good points. So I think we've already discussed the most important details about the results, that being the numbers we went over at the start of the segment. But before we move on, I want to get a little more granular about some of the specific answers that we got. 4 of the 7 answers I consider to be sincere admissions of a conspiratorial belief I don't think deserve too much scrutiny. These are the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, aliens are real, and the moon landing being faked.
Yeah.
Right? These are all, with the exception of aliens, quintessential conspiracy theories, and I want to save a further discussion about them for a bit later in this episode. In terms of aliens being real, we just discussed this. I'm not sure how controversial this is. We both agree that aliens are probably real.
Might be real.
Yeah, unless there's something further in this theory for us to expound on, we don't really know if this is controversial or not.
Yeah.
However, the first one I do want to dig deeper into are the 2 players who claimed the Earth is flat. I think this is obviously pretty important for the purposes of our podcast. Like I mentioned earlier, for those who haven't listened, I highly recommend going back to episode 4 of our podcast, where we discuss the flat Earth in far more detail, and the players who believe in it.
Well, you can add 2 more to that list.
Yes, we certainly can. We're going to at some point have to do a revision of the flat Earth episode, because I already did include all the players who believed in it at that point. In that episode, I started with the anecdote from the Kelsey Brothers podcast, where they claimed that an average of 10 to 15 players in any given NFL locker room are flat earthers. While the representation in this video does not quite reach that number, extrapolated from this sample would represent approximately 8 players on the Bucs believing the Earth is flat. These numbers are not fully representative. While these numbers do not quite reach the 10 to 15 figure put out by the Kelsey brothers, if we do extrapolate from the sample, it would represent approximately 8 players on the Bucs believing the Earth is flat. These numbers are not fully representative, so we don't really have a full view of the story. Some players may have been embarrassed to answer, some may have answered with a different theory instead, because that was the one that came to their mind first. The point is, this survey was far from comprehensive, and I think is far from a real look at how many players believe in the flat Earth on this in this locker room.
Yeah, like, you can't get exact numbers out of this video, but...
Exactly, especially when they only give one answer, it's quick, they don't get to think about it. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances why some people who do believe in flat Earth wouldn't have said flat Earth in this video. Also, this could have not been concluded. They already got 2 players who said it. Why would they need a third?
Exactly.
The joke's already done.
Yeah.
Regardless of all that, I do think it is absolutely noteworthy that, even in such a shoddily performed survey, 2 of the 13 players in the sample still answered a flat Earth. I think that's what we should be focusing on. The fact that even throughout all of this, it's going on social media, they're next to their teammates, they only get to answer one thing, 2 of them still said flat Earth.
Well, I mean, maybe they were just doing it, like you said before, just because it gets good attention.
Maybe.
They know it does, because it's gotten great attention in the past.
That's true, but one thing we've seen about players admitting they believe in flat Earth is pretty much all of them actually believe in flat Earth.
Yeah.
These guys aren't doing it solely for attention. I think that's part of it, but I think these guys are also doing it out of a sincere belief that we live on a fucking 2D projection or whatever.
We live on a CD, a flat one though.
A flat CD? Well, that's some of the theories.
Well, it's just flat. It's not 2D, it's just flat.
Just flat, you're right, not 2D. I'll give you that. If we're getting really technical about this completely fake scientific theory. Shout out to Godwin, though, for straight up answering Earth is not flat. Big respects.
Yeah.
That's a controversial take in a locker room in the NFL. He does not care about social desirability bias.
Well, it's crazy how the defensive players were like, the Earth is flat, and you get a wide receiver, and he's like, the Earth is not flat.
Well, yeah, he has to take in the curvature of the Earth when he takes his catches. These defensive guys just go, run, run, run. The last answer I want to break down a bit more, though, and this is what we touched on earlier, is the answer from Dean, which is, quote-unquote, another version of me that made all the opposite decisions of what I did in life. To me, this player genuinely seems sincere. Like I was saying earlier, like he's giddy in this video. He could not be more excited to be sharing with the social media manager, his teammates, the entire Bucs fan base, the truth of reality. I could be wrong here, and I think a reasonable person can disagree with me on this, but for the purposes of this episode, I will continue on as though it was a sincere admission of a genuine belief.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you're not talking to a reasonable person, so...
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in the future we'll have a guest who is a little more reasonable and can refute me a little more.
Especially on this topic, because I'm a firm believer in the multiverse theory.
Yes, and I don't think believing in the multiverse is particularly wrong or crazy. There's a lot of really smart people with really great scientific accreditations who believe that we live in a multiverse. That's not the crazy thing. The crazy thing is this very specific version of it. So the reason I found this particular answer so interesting is that I had never heard of this conspiracy. Now, I don't claim to know every conspiracy theory under the sun, but I would consider myself pretty well versed. I've heard of alternate dimension theories and alternate self theories, but never this one in specific. Naturally, I had to do some more digging. Unfortunately, I was a little stumped when trying to think of something to Google, so I literally went with the phrase, quote-unquote, another version of me that made all the opposite decisions of what I did in life. A direct quote from the video, obviously. Perhaps, unsurprisingly, there were not many relevant results. We'll now break down those not many results I did find.
Yeah, not many isn't none.
Exactly. And I did find a few, so we'll get into it. The results broke down into 2 main veins. The first vein of results were articles attempting to answer metaphysical conundrums, boasting titles like, Does Another Version of You Exist in a Different Universe? From Nicole Mortellaro of Global News. Let me save you some time reading the article here. The answer may shock you. Maybe. It was a boring-ass article. Do not recommend. The other vein of results are forum posts, unsurprisingly. These break down into 2 separate distinctions. There are ones like this on Quora where the question is asked, what if there was an alternate dimension where every decision you made created a parallel reality? How would your life be different if you could explore those alternate versions of yourself? These threads are full of armchair metaphysicists giving their philosophical takes. I have no patience for it, for one, and for 2, this question is simply not covering the question of if there's another person in an alternate universe making all the opposite decisions you are.
No.
However, the other category of forum posts is often on Reddit, and they're threads like this, where a user asks, what if every time you made a decision, an alternate version of you made the opposite choice? Which one would have a better life? This is actually at least touching on the theory. He's definitely not claiming he believes this, but it's touching on the concepts that Dean brought up.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, there were 3 answers on this thread. 2 of them were no more than 3 words, and the third one was this.
My alternate versions would all be dead. Okay, I want to cross a street. I'm going to just wait until I can safely pass. My alternate self, run into a car.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of just like the end of it.
Exactly. This person deserves a reward on Reddit. So if someone richer than me wants to go onto this thread and give him a gold medal or something, feel free. My point here is, I cannot find anyone sincerely speaking about this theory. If any listeners have more information about this, please feel free to reach out. I would genuinely like to know more about this, or where the source of the information is. And for the player who said this, for Dean, I even more desperately want to know where you got this information in the first place. And, like, where you got it, that you were so sure about it that you were willing to announce it on the Bucs social media feeds. If this came from your mind, I want to pick your brain. If this came from a source, I need your sources.
Yeah, bro. Can you just, like, drop your sources for us?
Exactly.
And hopefully they aren't just like, trust me, bro, you know?
I have a strong feeling. If you see the smile on his face in that video, it's a big trust me, bro smile.
Oh, fuck.
So, there you have it. 13 Buccaneers players, 13 different takes on conspiracy theories. Some are definitely having fun with it, while others seem to genuinely believe in these ideas. As much as we might laugh at some of these responses, it's a good reminder that belief in the strange and unexplained touches all walks of life, especially NFL locker rooms. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and as always, don't trust the Bucs.
Yes, but you can trust Baker Mayfield to lead them to a Super Bowl.
Fastest player in the league.
MVP, I'm telling you.
All right.
MVP.
Getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
Oh, I'm so ahead of myself. Alrighty, welcome to my segment of the podcast where we discuss some wild and wacky NFL, and today I actually have a little bit of a conspiracy, a little bit of a curse going on here.
Oh, look at that.
So I was scrolling through Instagram Reels and I came across a reel with the quote, "If Taylor Heineke is the backup, your starter is cooked because the beer man is going to somehow get on the field." And yeah.
Okay, I see where this is going, and I love it. And also, I just have to say,
The Beer Man? Great
Unbelievable.
nickname.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who would win in a fight, the Beer Man or the Day Man?
Yeah. Great Sunny reference. Yeah, so I saw this, and it's the Grim Reaper, knocking on the doors with the little blood trails coming out. And it said 2021 Fitzpatrick, 22 Carson Wentz, 23 Desmond Ridder. And it was knocking on the door of 2024 Justin Herbert.
Sure.
So I went back and I looked at Taylor Heineke's Football Reference to see where he played all the way back from the beginning of his career. And believe it or not, this guy is right. If Taylor Heineke is the backup, he will see playing time. Like, he will make it happen, I think. I don't know.
This seems so nefarious.
So in 2017, Taylor Heineke's first year in the NFL, he is playing as the third string quarterback on the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson goes down with an ACL injury.
Yes.
Taylor Heineke comes in to play one game at the end of the season with a 100% completion rating.
Seriously?
Yeah, he threw one pass for one completion for 10 yards.
All right. Well, he really got his 15 minutes of fame. More likely 15 seconds of fame.
But in 2017, year one, as a backup, he's already made the field.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah. Year two, we see him go to Carolina in 2018. Cam Newton gets injured 2 weeks remaining in the season. His injury was to his shoulder. Possibly career ender, depending on who you ask. But anyways, Taylor starts one game at the end of the season and goes 0-1.
Wow, this guy is not the most successful of backups, is he?
Yeah, no, not really.
But you know what? This is 2 games. Let's see the third game.
Okay, so on his Football Reference page, there isn't anything for 2019. So I looked up what was Taylor Heineke doing in 2019. Apparently, he missed a year of play to play in the XFL. Although I couldn't really find a whole lot about Taylor Heineke's time in the XFL. I don't know.
That's pretty weird. If an NFL player goes to XFL, they should ostensibly be
So-
pretty notable in the league.
So on r/XFL, I found a post. XFL legend Taylor Heineke throws a high point pass for a Commander's touchdown. Okay?
Okay.
And The original post goes, I call literally anyone who played in XFL 2.0 an XFL legend. It was a joke. They went for half a season, which...
Oh, true. I forgot about the XFL 2.0.
Yeah, so that's what he was doing in...
Not the real XFL, yes.
Yeah, so there's that. And then in 2020, he got signed to the Washington Commanders. And, believe it or not, he would get playing time.
Wow, on the dream team, too.
Dwayne Haskins wouldn't play in the final game of the season, what would have been his final game in the NFL, because he broke COVID protocols and the team had enough of his antics.
Oh, really? I didn't know that's why he didn't play his last game.
Yeah, so Taylor Heineke managed to slip in there. He played in one game, and he went 12 for 19 on his completions. So,
that's okay. That's not too bad at all.
No.
As far as a backup quarterback goes, I'm not going to complain about
in one
that.
game,
you know
that's
what?
fine.
Also, last game of the year, I'm sure it was not the most
it's Commanders,
impactful game.
It's Commanders football, too.
Exactly.
So.
It was like they were either going to miss the playoffs or miss the playoffs by a little bit less.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now 2021, Washington in year 2. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the chosen starter for the Commanders for week 1. As we've discussed in a past episode, he gets injured, a season-ending hip injury, and Taylor Heineke comes in to play the rest of the season, except for week 15, but he was back for week 16.
Okay, so we actually got some real play time this season.
Yeah, this time he turned out to be like a full-time player, and he might have injured Ryan Fitzpatrick to do it, because he wanted to get some playing time. Then we got in 2022, Washington year 3. Okay, Carson Wentz is the chosen starter. He plays from week 1 to week 6. Week 7, we see Taylor Heineke start after Wentz fractures his hand, hitting it into a defensive lineman.
That is the lamest injury ever. That's like the injury equivalent of an illegal shifting penalty.
Yeah, it's...
so boring.
Yeah, so in 2023, Taylor Heineke moved teams. He moved to Atlanta, where Desmond Ridder would be the chosen starter. Desmond Ridder was subbed out week 8, a game we would see Taylor Heineke play the second half of. He would play 2 more games, and then he would play week 16 and week 17. So the reason for his playing time this year, Desmond Ridder was shit, and so he got benched.
Okay, well, you know what? That's different than the other years. We're getting a new pattern forming.
Yeah.
My question is, though, obviously, this is probably just a crazy set of coincidences, but there's no way the theory stops there, right? People must be claiming that he's doing something to make this happen.
Well, it doesn't. It actually keeps going. There's still more players.
Oh, okay.
Because this year, in 2024, Justin Herbert was dealing with an ankle injury in the 4th quarter of week 3. Taylor Heineke comes in to throw for 21 yards and get sacked 3 times.
Oh, that's so brutal.
Justin Herbert did play in week 4, so we don't have anything there. But keep an eye on it. You never know, because Justin Herbert still doesn't look to be 100%. So Taylor Heineke could possibly get some more playing time.
Yeah, Herbert's got to sleep with one eye open, doesn't he?
Yeah, so there is nothing on this Taylor Heineke theory other than this original meme that I saw.
That's pretty crazy. It's just a wild coincidence, but the idea of what it could be implying is really funny.
Well, the guy in the meme only went back to 2021 to see
yeah, exactly.
But I did the research and it turns out it spans all the way back to 2017.
Oh, you did the research in 2017, 2021.
Yeah, No, I'm going to post the meme on Twitter, but it literally just says the year and the name of the quarterback. It doesn't say what happened to the quarterback or anything. This is a Jared Cole original.
No way.
Yeah, research-wise.
Wow, both of us coming at you with completely original content today. This is great.
Yeah, stealing content from other people and then turning it into original content for us.
Isn't that pretty much what all original content is?
Yeah, so that's the curse of Taylor Heineke. You do not want him as your backup because something's going to happen to you where he's going to take the field.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode.
You can find us on Twitter at FB Conspiracies, where we will post all the graphics and links we spoke about during this episode.
You can also reach us by email using fbconspiracies@gmail.com.
A special thanks to Blaze for the music.
If you enjoyed, consider leaving a review.
Join us next week for more football conspiracies.
Yeah, watch out for the fucking beer man. He's after you.